You're listening to Sarah Hagan Backstage, with interviews and insights from years inside the music industry. Join Sarah as she talks with masters of their crafts, finding out what makes them tick both inside and outside of the music business. This week, Sarah talks with the godfather of gospel drumming, Gerald Heyward.
Welcome to Sarah Hagan Backstage. My guest today, Gerald Heyward, is a great friend of mine who has played with some incredible acts in our industry. Just to name a few: Michael Jackson, Janet Jackson, Mary J. Blige, Beyonce, Chris Brown, and it goes on and on. So we are going to talk to Gerald about his time playing with those artists and also about his time mentoring younger drummers in this industry. And we'll talk a lot about his philosophy on being successful in the industry and how it takes not only great technique, great talent, but also a really great attitude. So come along with us as we catch up with Gerald Heyward. Gerald Heyward, welcome to the podcast.
What's up, Sarah? How you doing?
I'm so good. How are you doing?
Good. It's good. I'm good. I'm okay. I'm good. I'm happy.
It's all we can ask for, right?
Yep.
And I am seeing your new studio, your newly reworked studio behind you. It looks excellent.
Yeah, thank you. I'm trying to just, I'm going from being a drummer to an engineer to, I don't know. I'm just, it's weird, the time that we in. I mean, hopefully it's changing, it's going back to as much normal as it can possibly go to.
Mm-hmm.
But, I still been blessed in all of this. I lost a few people, but, life must go on. And it is.
Yes. And I know that, the quarantine and the virus and everything, it's changed a lot for a lot of us. But you're one of those really, versatile people who just kind of, you switched gears, you got your studio together, you got the cameras that you needed, and like so many of our friends kind of switched to creating content at home.
Yeah, it's a process. It's like learning drums all over again. You know what I mean? Because
right.
We used to, in a studio environment, used to just going in, sitting down, and creating what you need to play for the producers. And when the producers hear what they like, then that's what it is.
Mm-hmm.
But now you're sitting home and you're creating content. So you're like, yeah, I'm the drummer, I'm the engineer, I'm the maintenance guy. I'm everything.
Yes.
A tune. I gotta do everything. I'm the tech. I'm all of this, and it's like learning something besides drums is what was happening. We was all learning how to be engineers, how to create content, how to what people like on the other side of the world. We had to kind of learn that from scratch all over. So it's like, man, like this is just a crazy time. And then, I was telling him, I was like, yeah, man, like it's weird because I don't have the push to play drums. It's so much stuff going on in the world. I'm so focused on that stuff that I have not had really any intimate time with my drums. You know what I mean? Like let me say, not have intimate time with the drums, but I have not had the urge to have intimate time with my drums or, to practice or to play, or it's just like, man, like what's happening in the world? Like, I was just so focused on that. And I just didn't have that get up, that fight to kind of get on the drums. And he was like, man, I was feeling the same exact way. It's weird. And I was like, but, everything is good now. Everything is good. And like I said, we lost so many people within the pandemic, and it was just hard to focus on your instrument. It was just hard. And, your instrument, a lot of times, it's your secret place. It's your place where, you know, you could just let loose and you could just be you and be free and make your ears happy, you know.
Right.
So yeah, it's a lot that I've learned over this time being in the house as far as, you know, studio stuff and engineering and microphones and different things like that. So, you know,
Yes. Yeah. And I
yeah,
understand completely. A lot of us feel,
yeah,
music and our instruments and playing, it's happiness. It's something that we do when we feel inspired to be
yeah,
creative. And it's hard to do that when there's so much happening around you that is sad and depressing. And when, we're pushed outside of our comfort zone and, you became your own engineer, your own camera guy, your own audio tech, and
crazy.
and I, on the other side of things, starting my own business, I
Yeah.
became my own IT person for the first time, right? So like I understand totally what you're talking about, just
Yeah.
trying to figure things out and getting pushed outside of your comfort zone. And the good thing about that is that it creates growth,
Yeah.
right? So you've grown, your skills have grown, your
Right.
ability to overcome has grown. And I'm so happy that you've pushed through that and that you did start making music again and creating again and,
Yeah.
sitting behind the kit and spending that time and that you kind of got your inspiration back. That makes me so
Yeah.
happy.
Life is good, but like I said, it's just been so much. It's funny because, I've even known you to have, you had to like, go to school with your kids. I've known Aaron to go to school with his kids.
Hmm.
And it's like, man, it's like, yo, we like back in school, man. Like I got my kid here that's in first grade or going to first grade. I gotta help him on the computer for a certain amount of hours a day. It's like being in school. But yeah, we learn, we grow. You know what I mean? It was kind of cool to have that family time. You know,
Hmm.
mostly, we're on the road, we're going and coming, and sometimes it'd be like 2 to 3 weeks that you really get to be with your family when you're on the road, when you're coming and going and coming and going. It adds
Hmm.
up to like 2 to 3 weeks at the end of the day, at the end of the month. I mean, at the end of the year, it's like, yo, dag, man, like I only really had 2 or 3 weeks with my family. You don't realize it until you finally come home and sit down and be like, dag, man, like I haven't been with my family for such a long time. Um,
Yeah.
I was telling my Uncle Butch the other day, I remember my daughter, who is 20 now, I remember when my wife was holding her and I left for tour. And when I
Mm.
came back, she walked over to me and hugged my leg. And it's like, wow, your mother was holding you when I left.
Yeah.
And now you walking over to me, hugging me on my leg. And it's like, I miss so much of your life almost. Like
Hmm.
weird. It's like, I missed a lot of things. But I was putting food on the table. I was,
Yes.
doing what I needed to do for everyone to survive, you know. So
Absolutely. Yeah.
yeah,
And it's not easy. And I think you don't even know, I think, what you're missing when you're missing it
yeah,
sometimes. And this pandemic puts so much in perspective. And that's a
yeah,
that's a word that I've used a whole lot
right,
lately. It's like, wow, a whole new perspective on life, on what's important, what is worth your time, what you are worth. It's amazing. And I think it's changed a lot of our friends, us. It's changed
yeah,
us. It's changed a lot of people we know. I think that a lot of people are going to be more selective about how they spend their time, and
right,
um, so.
yeah,
But one thing I want to bring up that you did do during
uh-huh.
quarantine was a whole lot of cooking, and I love to see. I love to see your posts. Just making food, recreating food, from restaurants and
Um,
posting. And we just talked the other day about how you were stress eating, and I can relate. I can relate to
yeah,
that because you're waiting for the birth of your grandson, and
yeah,
congratulations.
yep. My granddaughter, yep, she's
Or your
she's
granddaughter.
her
Yeah.
name is Haley, and and it's cool, man. But you know, the cooking thing was like, you know, we all gained pandemic weight, and the reason why is because we had time to, you know, kind of like zoom in on recipes and different things like that. And you know, I'm frying ribs and frying salmon and making salmon nuggets, fried salmon nuggets. I'm making just all of this stuff, man. And then I look around, and as I look around, I see my stomach around. I see it. Yeah, I can see it like in my peripherals, like you know where it used to be back here, and now it's right under here. So, because of the pandemic and because I was learning so many different recipes and different things, and I learned how to, you know, they have a chicken sandwich at Popeyes, and I learned I made a version of it, and I made a boneless fried spare rib sandwich, and it was
Wow.
a boneless fried spare rib sandwich on brioche bread with bread and butter, pickles, mayonnaise, and white barbecue sauce. And
Wow.
like it was like, yeah. So I learned how to make all of this basically little pre-pandemic, but in the pandemic I perfected it, you know.
Yes.
Um,
Yes.
so it was just things like that, just things that kind of will relax you and kind of get your mind off of, you know, what was happening.
Hmm.
I really honestly remember this, Sarah, for a month. I want to say like a month or two straight. Every time I woke up, somebody died. Somebody
Hmm.
close to me died, or someone that I knew passed away. And that was like, I was almost scared to wake up some days, man. It was like,
Yeah.
yeah, I can't take no more of this, you know. And the cooking and all of that stuff kind of gave me an out, you know what I mean? Like
Right. An
drumming was,
escape.
yeah, the drumming wasn't on my mind, but everything else was like the little things that I was doing, you know, really gave me an out and gave me some relaxation and kind of took my guard down.
Hmm.
God being up from somebody calling me about somebody else dying, or you know, me seeing it on the internet or anything like that.
Yes. Yes. I understand completely.
Yeah.
I, I think, you know, one of the things that we're very lucky for is
Uh-huh.
in this industry, it is like this giant family, this community
Yeah.
network, and we feel it like family. So we're lucky to have that
Yeah.
surrounding us and those people, but it does make it more common that
Yeah.
you know, you've gone through a lot of loss over the past year, and I totally understand. I felt the same way. The phone would ring and I would think, okay, you know, and I would hear it on the other line.
Right.
It was a really, really sad time, especially at the very beginning. I think of the pandemic when there, you know, people had caught COVID and
Yeah.
didn't know it, and you know, before the precautions were put in place. But yeah, tough
Yeah.
time to go through. And I think what's come out of it is again this kind of like renewed feeling of wanting to be with those people that you love, spend the time with them,
Yeah.
cherish every day that you have. I know it's made me way more aware of that,
A
of
lot. Yeah. Yeah.
enjoying
But,
the
yeah.
moments, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Because my wife, it's funny because well, it's not funny, but it's weird that my wife got COVID after she got her shot. And
Right.
what the doctors was thinking is that she had COVID before the shot. So,
Hmm.
but my whole family is vaccinated except for my son's wife and maybe a couple of the little ones. But my son's wife was pregnant, so she couldn't get vaccinated or whatever.
Hmm.
So, but yeah, my wife had got COVID. She was in quarantine from me for like 20 days. She was just living on the other side of the house in her office,
Oh,
and I was feeding her through the door,
no.
talking to her, you know, from the living room with the door open, you know, and it was a tough time. It was a tough time.
Yeah.
You know, my sister-in-law and my brother-in-law had got it at the same time, and you know, they have teenagers in their house, so it was like we was going there, taking care of them, kind of, you know, making sure we drop food off and different things. And it was
Mm-hmm.
just, you know, it was just a time of sadness. It was a time of, you know, but you know, the good thing that had come out of it, it made you focus on family and focus
Mm-hmm.
on health and focus on certain things that are just things that you glance at in a daily routine. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Like now, like, yo, I gotta pay attention to this. I gotta make this right. I gotta make sure I am on this particular thing that I kind of, you know, with having so much other stuff to do, it's kind of like a glance, or it's a 5 minute thing, or it's like, nah, like I got to make sure that these things are in place. And that comes from even, you know, talking about death, you know,
Mm-hmm.
talking about being prepared, and, you know, having to have these conversations of where's the insurance policies, you know,
Yes.
this, what is that? And those are the conversations that you don't want to have. But at the same time, the pandemic kind of made you focus and kind of zoom in on having those conversations, because at a daily rate we was waking up and it was people dying, it was people, you know, you just didn't know, you know. And it made you speak to people that you probably wasn't speaking to before,
Mm-hmm.
because it's definitely hard to deal with a death when you wasn't speaking to the person. That's a whole nother grieving process.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, yo, not only was I not talking to them, and now they're gone, so I have to, you know, grieve over the person leaving, and then still grieve over, like, yo, I wasn't speaking to them.
Right,
So,
right.
so I
Yeah.
try to, you know, I try to make everything cool and calm, and you know, everything's just connect, make everything connect. And you know, if I wasn't speaking to you before the pandemic, well, I'm speaking to you now, and
Mm-hmm.
I'm your friend. I've always been your friend, but if we had a difference, you know, we got to fix that, because
Mm-hmm.
we don't know what day to day is going to bring, man. We just don't know. So
That's so
yeah,
important. I love that. I
yeah,
love that that came out of it. You know, if it allowed you to let go of some things and
yeah,
mend some relationships, that's
yeah.
a positive for sure. And I similarly found myself really not putting things off that
Oh
I
yeah,
would have put off. You know, there's so many excuses for things. I think you can, no, I'll do that tomorrow, or I'll do that
right.
next week, or, you know, that can wait. But one thing that I've been doing over this past year is just doing it, like just not
Yeah,
putting anything off, making the phone
right.
call when you need to make it,
Yeah,
just get it done.
yeah.
And that's been super helpful to me personally, just like having that in the back of my head. Just do it. Yeah.
That's good.
Um, so I do want to ask, you know, you went through this really hard experience and not wanting to sit behind the drums and not wanting to create.
Right.
When did that change for you? When did you decide that it was time to get
Uh,
back there?
Um, I think when I like once my wife was better,
Mm-hmm.
it was like I'm okay to sit down and play now. Like I mean, like I think once things started getting solutions to it, basically, because
Mm-hmm.
like, you know, you have all these problems. Like I said, there was so many things going on in the world. You know, when the solutions came and the ending of those things came, I started more and more wanting to go play my drums.
Yes.
That makes sense. It's
Mm-hmm.
like yeah, like, you know, my wife is better now. I can go play drums, or like, you know, they got vaccines now. I can go play drums. Like
Yes.
it was just a whole bunch of different things, you know, that vibe that pushed me closer back to my instrument. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Talking to, you know, a lot of the company reps and representations of the companies, and um, you know, them still believing in me, and still trusting that, you know, trusting in me that I am still a voice in the industry and still a voice, and you know, I can still sell product, or I can still, you know, place product in certain places.
Mm-hmm.
That all of that stuff pushed me back towards my instrument. You know, learning the audio portion of it pushed me back. You know, pushed me back. Oh, I want to play. You know, I had to do something for a career. It was Korean Drum Festival, and I had to do it in my house. And I had, you know,
Mm-hmm.
that's when I had to set up the studio and make sure everything was, you know, right and working. And that you know, all of those events pushed me back towards my drums. And
Right.
it was like, oh yeah, I'm back now. Like I want to play. And you know, my wife saying to me, oh yeah, you can have some sheds now. Just all the nephews have to show their vaccination cards. You know, so so
That's
I'm like,
good.
yeah. So I'm like, you know, just in that mode now. Like I'm good. And you know, talking to Aaron and talking to Jamal and talking to, you know, everybody that I'm close to that are drummers too, you know, we started pushing each other,
Mm-hmm.
pushing each other. We started, yo man, you should do this. Yo man, you need to do this. Yo man, what you think about this? Or, you know, sending videos of chops and just stuff, you know, just stuff that had to do with drums and speaking drum. Yeah,
Encouraging each other. I like it.
yeah,
Yeah.
speaking drum language. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
You know, we those guys, you know, we do a lot of talking, you know, about family stuff. You know, Aaron has family, and you know, Jamal has family and kids, and so you know, we talk about those things, dealing with those things, and then at a certain point, like when everything started coming back, and it's like, oh yo, you playing this, or what are you doing with this, or how do you sound, or what's up with this drum head, or what this cymbal sound like, or and then that started a trickle down effect. It's like, oh yeah, I'm playing today. Oh yeah, I'm practicing
Mm-hmm.
today. Oh yeah, man, I seen this video of you. Man, you was playing blah blah blah. Yo, I'm trying that. Or you know, just that sort of thing. When the language of drums started coming back, that's what pushed us all back to the drums. It's like, yeah,
That's
we
so great.
yeah.
It's so great. And I want to talk too, you know, you mentioned the Sheds and you
Yeah.
mentioned Aaron Spears and Jamal
Yeah.
Moore.
Yeah.
And, you know, you are like the uncle of this whole
Right.
group. And, you know, it's funny because you call them the nephews and
Yeah.
everything, and they all call you Uncle Gerald. And
Right.
you know, you're such a kind of founder of this whole group of players. And I wouldn't, you know, you were the one who introduced me to Aaron Spears
Right.
and Jamal and
Right.
so many other drummers over the years. And you are just such an amazing support system
Yeah.
to everybody. Not just you know, in the drumming side of things, like imparting your knowledge about drumming, but also about life,
Yeah.
about the industry,
Mhm.
about, you know, how to have relationships. It's just incredible what you've done.
Well, it's a blessing. One thing, um, I just try to, you know, I try to keep the community healthy. Is
Hmm.
what I'm trying to do. And with that being said, you know, I'm basically making drummers. You know, I'm my job. I feel like my job is to make professional drummers because they want to be professional drummers. You know what I
Hmm.
mean? All of those guys that I call my nephews, each one of them is on a journey, and I'm trying to be a part of that journey to help them become professional drummers. So,
Yeah.
you know, they have to be around the language. They have to, you know, see the product. They have to be able to have access to all of this stuff in order to work and get to that point where I've gotten to.
Hmm.
And I have no like I don't want to be that person. When I was younger and I was coming up, I had one person, Jeff Davis, you know, that used to talk to me, and tell me certain things about being a professional drummer. But
Mm-hmm.
he was a professional drummer in church.
Mm-hmm.
And I decided to play R&B. I kind of couldn't get little tidbits and stuff from him because he was in a whole different side of it. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
In a whole different, a whole, he was a part of a whole nother side of it. He started playing for like Phyllis Hyman and Guy and all of that, but I was already in the mix already. You know what I mean? I was
Sure.
already out there. And I've always said, I've always wanted to be that person to help the next person, because
Yes.
with conversation and different things like that, that's what helped me along the way of what I was doing. So my thing is to always, look out for the nephews, always try to make them, as best as they can be. Because they're supposed to be better than the teacher. They're supposed to be better than those that came before them. So my goal is to help them get to that space. And
Mm-hmm.
I have no, I don't have any problems with someone being greater than me, or getting more recognition than me or anything like that, because I've done what I've done, and I'm happy and I'm satisfied with what I done. So I want to help someone else be great. I want to help them, man. I'm a kid from Brooklyn. I came from Brooklyn playing my drums in my grandmother's house, and I made it to the stage. I made it to TV. I made it. And they are in the same situations. They're playing around town and doing what they got to do, and I'm that person to help them come out and get to where they're trying to go. And
Mm-hmm.
that's always been that's been my vibe. Like, I don't have no issues with the younger generation, and I want to make sure that they know who I am and what I bring to the table. You know what I mean? And I always want to look out. I always want to, with Aaron, I thought that he was so talented, when I first seen him play and everything. And it's like, somebody has said to me, it's like, man, you put that dude on? Why'd you put that dude on? He's good. He's really good. And I'm like, man, that does nothing to what I've done, or that
Mm-hmm.
does nothing to what I contribute, and it's helping making him better. It's helping, making him, a greater asset, and it's letting people know how talented he is. Like, it was like, yo, this dude is amazing. And
Yes.
Jamal's the same way,
Yes.
like, yo, I have to speak and always support these guys, because they watch me as
Mm-hmm.
they watch me and they respect me and they respect what I've done. So
Absolutely.
I feel
You
that my giving back is what this is. You know.
And you're an incredible mentor, Gerald, and I know that what you've done for the next generation, they're doing for the up and coming generation, because
Yeah.
I see it. Aaron, the number of times that Aaron called me and said, "Hey, you got to check out so and so," or
Right.
okay, do you mind if I put you in touch with so and so, and just helping mentor that next generation. Like, you've
Right.
put in place a really great network of wonderful, supportive human beings,
Yeah.
besides being really incredible drummers. So
Yeah.
you've done such a great job with that.
And it's,
Um,
how it is, Sarah. It's all about your attitude.
mhm.
Like, because it's a lot of people I come across that can play drums, but their attitudes are not. And my thing is, one of my nephews said to me, Josh, he always go, you can tell them, but they're gonna do what they want to do. You know what I
Right.
mean? And it's a certain way you're supposed to carry yourself within this within the industry. It's
Mhm.
a way to carry yourself. It's a way to speak to people. It's a way to approach people. And some of them I got through, and then maybe one or two of them, it just fell on deaf ears. You know what I'm saying?
Sure.
But and it hurt me because they're so talented. They can play drums so much, but when they're not playing drums is the problem that I was having with them. It's like, yo, when you're not playing drums, nobody wants to sit down and talk to you, or nobody
Mhm.
wants to have a conversation with you because of the way that you carry yourself when you're not playing drums. Now, what I give to them and the way that I mentor, it's a whole package deal. It's a whole package deal. It's your swag, it's the way you talk, it's the way your drums look, it's the way your drums sound. It's a whole process to you becoming a professional, respected professional drummer, a
Right.
professional musician. And it's so many segments that you have to put together, so many pieces that you have to put together to be that person.
Mhm.
And I am instilling in them all of the pieces as many times as I can and as much as I can, so they can become that person, that professional, and that star or whatever.
For sure. Yes. Yeah. And you have it down completely. It's not just about the talent. The
Yeah.
talent can be way up here, but, to be able to get along with people on the road, keep a gig, negotiate, pay, and all of these things, like there's so much that goes along with it,
Yeah.
endorsements and, relationships within the industry. So,
Right.
um, I know. The thing, these guys so appreciate that from you as well. And, let's talk about you and your career for a minute, because you can't Google your name. Like if you Google Gerald Heyward, you cannot Google your name and not have it come up. Godfather of gospel and
Oh,
R&B
God.
drumming. Like that's what that's what comes
Oh,
up.
man. That sounds
Um,
so like mafia-ish to me.
I know, right? The Godfather.
Right.
I know you prefer Uncle, and I like that
No,
too. So
I prefer whatever. But um, you know, uh career it's been great. It's been very, very everything moved kind of fast.
yeah.
Everything moved fast. I always say I went from the church to the stage. I didn't play in the little clubs, or I never did none of that type of stuff, like, around town. I never did that. I
Hmm.
went straight from the church to the big stage. And it moved kind of fast. I'm actually doing a docu-series on me, Kern, and Valdez. We those are the other two brothers that I work with for over 20 years. And every artist that I work with, those guys was a part of that situation. Kern was the MD, Valdez was the programmer and the keyboard player, and it was me. And then they would bring in, other people around us.
Hmm.
And you know, like I said, it's been a wonderful career. I've played with, Mary J, Beyonce, Puffy, Shaka Khan, Stevie Wonder, um, Michael Jackson, Brandy. Um, it's just so many others. Rob Thomas, Carl Thomas, all of the bad boy era. I played in so many. I've been blessed to play on so many stages and so many arenas, um, and my career has been great. And I feel good about the people that are doing it now. They were in public school watching me do it and learning how to do
Hmm.
it, learning how to do it, and it's a blessing. It's a blessing, for a person that don't, I don't know rudiments. I don't know how to read music.
Hmm.
I literally went from playing in church to being on the stage, and God has really blessed me, and I have been able to, be in this industry for so long and be relevant, you know,
Hmm.
relevant. So I'm happy about it. I'm happy about my career. I'm happy about, the companies that I'm connected to, and the people that, I was telling somebody, I was on Daru Jones. I was on his podcast the other day, and I was
Hmm.
telling him, I was like, I think I'm the longest running I'm the longest running commercial in the world. And he was like, what you mean by that? I was like, like for DW, I've been on DW for 26 years. I've been on
Wow.
Gym for maybe 15, 16 years, Remo about 15 years or so. Vic Firth for about the same, maybe 10, 12 years. But with saying that, it's like, yo, I'm the longest running commercial because I always try to push the product and always let people see me and always let people see my swag. And my swag has to do with all of those products.
Mm-hmm.
So I feel like I'm just a commercial forever. Like I'm a forever commercial. Like,
Yeah,
but
you're a fantastic brand ambassador,
yeah,
for any of the brands that you represent. You're so great. And I'm just thinking about us. We did a Instagram live interview
right,
for Groove X Percussion.
right,
And
right.
you were so great because you came on and you're like, this is the product, this is how I use it, this is why it's so great. And I was just like, okay,
Yo, that's it, cut and dry, man.
it's so good
And
because you believe in it.
speaking on that, like, I love Russ, man. He's a good dude. And you know how I feel about you. And that product, I'm just so like really overjoyed for Russ because he's a very creative person. And to be able to get your creativity out there, it's
Hmm.
like, oh man, I'll help you as much as I can. I'll figure it out. Like I'll do whatever I got to do to make it so people know who you are and what you do. And that's how I feel about a lot of products. It's like, yo, man, I got you. I got your back.
Yes.
I got your back no matter what. And as a drummer, you could get free stuff and that's all good. And I'm happy about that. But one thing Steve Gadd said to me one day, I was asking him because I thought that Yamaha was gonna shut down their drum department, and I said, "Yo, Steve, what will you do if they shut down the drum department?" He said, "Gerald, I got enough drums to play until I die." And he was like, I don't need no more drums. I have enough to play until I die. So he was basically, just instilling that in me. It's like
Hmm.
I have enough stuff to play until I can't play no more, until I'm not here to play it anymore.
Right.
Um, and it was funny because a couple of weeks later, I had the same conversation with Dave Weckl, and he said the same exact rebuttal. He's like, man, I got enough drums to play until I die. He said, I got
Wow.
Yamaha drums all over my house, everywhere. He was like, I will be okay. He was like,
Hmm.
I will be okay. But just having that attitude about, you know, having this products and being able to push the product was, I wake up every day, DW, Zildjian, Remo, Vic Firth, let's go. What we doing? You know what I mean? Like I got to get it out there. I got to know, any place that my feet tread, you know, I was like, yo, y'all need some DW drums in here. Y'all need some Zildjian cymbals. You need some Remo heads. Like, so all the churches that I went to, any place
Right.
they play, if they didn't have so that's why I felt like I'm a long running commercial. I'm
Absolutely.
like,
Yes.
like, yo, like you gotta have this product or else your stuff is terrible. And I'm sorry, but that's just the way I feel. That's
That's how
just
you feel. Yeah. And you talk about going from the church to the stage, but
right.
you never really you never went from the church to the stage and didn't look back. Like you
Have to.
always involved with the church, always, really just talking about that part of your life and how much it meant to you.
Yeah.
Um, and then always supporting the church as well. So,
Well, that's your blueprint.
mhm.
That's your lifeline. That's like, your lungs and your liver and your kidney. Like that's where I came from. And that's what I know. And, you know, being in church when I was younger, I used to get the Modern Drummer magazines and stuff like that. I didn't know that you can be a professional drummer, but I've always
Mhm.
said, yo, I want to be in this magazine. And I didn't know,
Yes.
you had to be a professional drummer to be in that magazine. It wasn't just playing in church. And, trying to get people to see you in church and hear you and see, you know, and hear what you can do. You know what I mean? Um, but yeah, that's my existence. You know, that's where I came from. You know, and a lot of good things has happened to me in church, so it's never not a part of my DNA. And even my family, you know, we all spiritual, we all go to church, and so it's no running from it. It's no, even if I wanted to get rid of it out of my life, it won't happen. So, you know, I grew up in that environment, and that environment served me very well. And that environment um let you guys know who I was. You know, because, you know, when I started playing R&B, you know, everybody's like, oh man, this drummer is crazy. And he's playing some stuff like, yo, we ain't never heard no drummer like this or whatever. And the only thing I could say to them is that they like, yo, where you from and why we never heard of you before? And it's like, yo, I just been in church playing. And, you know,
Right.
what y'all hear is my aggression and my approach to church music. So that, and then, you know, it became, yo, you hear how that kid Gerald Heyward sound? Yo, he sound crazy. It's dope. Yo, you gotta hear it. So that became me. You know what I mean? And then in the industry, you know, it's always like artists always come to see other artists, or artists talk about you to other artists, talk about you to other artists. So
Right.
how you kind of got around, like that's kind of how you got around, like back in the mid '80s and all of that. Like, yo, we got this drummer, he crazy, yo. You know, you need to try it, and that would be, you know, Mary. That would be Mary talking to Beyonce. You know, that would be, you know, Beyonce talking to somebody else, and it's like, yo, my drummer is crazy, yo. You got to see my drummer. So that's how kind of like I got from gig to gig to gig to gig to gig to gig. And then Kern, who I spoke on early, he was getting called for gigs. He was, you know, walking up the street in Manhattan, and somebody would be talking, yo, man, you know, they having auditions for Mary J. Blige up the street. And it's like, what? And he's like, yo, I'm going. But he was there,
Wow.
Grover, Washington. And then he was like, yo, I got a day off. He's walking around Manhattan with his bass. And that's how it all started. It all started with that. It all started with him getting gigs, putting me on, me meeting him in church, all of that. So I love church. Church is my existence. Church is where I came from. Church is basically my birthplace for being a drummer. And the reason why you guys know Gerald Heyward is because of the experience that I had in church, and why church is my base for everything.
Absolutely. And you know, you took that style of playing that was new, you know, that people really
Right.
hadn't heard before. And the greatest thing is that you played for the music no matter what you were
Yeah.
doing. And I
Yeah.
just have to recognize that, you know, always really just playing tastefully. Like, yeah,
Yeah.
you were crazy and you could do all this stuff, but
Yeah.
you never like overpowered what was going on. You let those
Yeah.
artists be who they were and
Yeah.
do their thing, and you just complemented it
Right.
so well, while also highlighting the fact that the drums could be played in that way. And how cool was that, right?
Thank you. So
So
it's,
good.
you know, it's the craziest thing is, you know, you have to play these people music. Like, let's just say Beyonce, for instance. You know, she got to dance, she got to sing, she got to do all of this stuff. But she also has to hear her music like it was recorded, but with the live texture on it. You see what I'm
Right.
saying? So it's like, you know, I can be Gerald Heyward in this situation, but I also have to let Beyonce hear her music, because that's what she's gonna dance to, because she made that music. So it's like, I have to figure out how to be Gerald Heyward, but also how to keep her music to her liking, and keep the grooves where she can dance, and then that people know what song it is and know what it
Yes.
is. so
Yes.
so that was definitely a process. That was definitely a process. It's like, you know, because they want you for what you do, but you
Yes.
also have to respect what they have done and what they do. So they like, yo, mesh your feeling, your creativity with my creativity and my feeling. But
Mm-hmm.
theirs have to be on top. You have to be in between somewhere. You have to, you know what I mean? So,
Absolutely.
so that was my approach to the music. And just, coming from New York, it's a big, small place, man. And you got to be aggressive because it's 150 million people that do what you do. You know,
Mm-hmm.
so you have to be heard. You have to make sure that your presentation just got a little bit more on it than the next person's presentation. And that's how you get
Absolutely.
seen. And that's what you heard when you first heard me play. You heard my aggression and my attack and yo, I'm gonna make sure you hear me. Like, or I'm gonna make sure you know that it's a drummer back here. Or I'm gonna make,
Mm-hmm.
playing with drum machines and all of that stuff. You gotta match the intensity of the
Yes.
machine and all of that. So that was all of those were processes that you had to, or things that you had to put in place to be this professional R&B drummer, and
Mm-hmm.
then still, have entertainment on it too. Like, it's like, yo, I don't know if I gotta bounce, scream, yell to make sure somebody know what I'm doing, and
Yes.
know what I'm playing. That's what it was. That's what it was. So yeah.
Absolutely. And like you brought attention to the drums. So, I mean, really, everyone goes to a Beyonce show to see
Right,
Beyonce, right? But the way that you play and the way that you played for the music, like you can't help but notice
right.
that element of it. And you kind of like pulled the drummer out from behind, from the back in that style of music. And I
Right.
love that.
Yeah,
Um,
it was a blessing to be able to do that. I'm gonna tell you one person that I seen the first concert I ever been to was Billy Joel, and Liberty DeVito was playing drums,
mhm.
and Liberty had this swag, man, that was just like, even if he was just crashing on the one, the way he
Mm,
did it was like, oh, that's amazing. And then that's when I came up with the whole hopping off the seat,
mhm.
hopping off the seat and playing and being able to play while I'm bouncing up and down. And then, playing for artists like Mary J. Mary is a very, how can I say it? Like, she impacts you from feeling,
Yes.
her whole concept and who she is. She's a very real person. So her whole concept is, she may be telling somebody off in her song, and I felt like I had to go with her.
Mhm.
I felt like these chops and the way I hit these cymbals and the way I'm jumping off of the seat, I have to be with Mary because she cursing somebody out right now.
Yes.
And this is the feeling that she has. So I've learned to bring my emotions for entertainment as well as what she was doing. It's like, yo, Mary, I'm with you. The keyboard players can't really do nothing, but I'm with you. Here we go. And I'm gonna play some chops, and I'm gonna play something just as aggressive as you cursing somebody out. And
Mhm.
she like, yeah, Gerald, yeah. I'm like, yeah, Mary, yeah. Like, you know what I mean? So that has been the concept of who I am, and the whole, to sum it up, that's the Gerald Heyward that you guys seen. I remember, God rest his soul, Prince coming to a Mary show, and he's standing at the soundboard and he's talking to a guy that was our engineer at the time. His name is Horace Ward, and he was like, yo, man, how's the drummer bouncing up and down like that and still playing a part and keeping a beat? And Horace Ward looked at him and said, I don't know, man. You got to ask him. And it was like, and it's crazy because, I got to talk to Prince later on, and he never asked me that question. But at the same time, Horace told me the story, and it was like, wow, this is weird. But it's all emotion. It's all, when I sit down to play, I want to give 110%.
Mhm.
So when I always have a, how can I put it? I think about it like this. Well, it's like this. Let me tell you, it's like this. When the Mary put out a record, the record may sell 500,000 copies the first week, right? Granted, after that first week, we go on tour. When we go on tour, and we go on tour for 2, 3, 5 months, whatever it is, when we come back, her record be at 3 million records. And the reason for that is because we got on that stage every night. We gave the best performance. We gave all of our emotion. We gave everything that we had for those performances. And it made the person in the audience go, yo, I'm going to buy this record again. Like, you know, it ain't going to sound like this, but I just want this song again because I love the way that they performed it. And I feel that we sell the bulk of the records on tour. So that's how I was viewing everything. I was viewing everything from an entertainment standpoint, but also it's all emotion. It's like emotion, whoever I'm playing for, whatever their vibe is and whatever they're trying to give to their audience that paid their money, I'm with them 100%. Whatever I can do to make that happen, that's cool.
Right.
So yeah,
that's so great. And I love that, like the connection to the music and you putting yourself emotionally into it. And I can see that with Mary J. And is there anyone else that you played with that you felt that connected to the music, or that you were putting yourself out there like that, or everyone, or is it?
Well, it's you know, a lot of things are out of body experiences. You know, like when I did the stuff for Michael Jackson. I played on 10 songs on one of the records, right? But only 2 songs made the record. But I would hear him singing the vocals and stuff to the songs, you know, rough vocals. But it's not, you know, as I'm doing it, it's just like, oh, this is great, right? But it's like when I got on a train to go back home, it's like, yo, I played for Michael Jackson. Like this is crazy. You know what I mean? So that's the out of body experience that I speak on. But it's so many people that I work with. You know, Chris Brown, when he went through the whole thing with the Rihanna and all of that stuff, and you know, I fully support him because I know, you know, the backstories of that stuff. And you know, I was around then and everything. And you know, a lot of people just wrote him off. You know what I mean? And when we went to go do shows and stuff, like a lot of times we would do shows that just be the DJ and me. And, you know, whatever Chris was feeling, if he was crying or whatever he was doing, you know, I was fully supporting him. And I was like, man, don't worry. Like, you're going to always be great. Like, you'll be fine. Like, you know, let's just keep pushing. Let's just keep pushing. Let's just keep pushing. So a lot of artists I connect in those ways, depending on what's happening in their life at the moment. You know, I used to talk to Mary a lot about Jesus Christ and about being saved, and you know, all the stuff she was going through with, you know, a lot of her relationships and different things like that. You know, and it just be like little tidbits here and there, you know, in passing, or sometime, you know, I go say hi and, you know, we have a conversation. And, you know, in the long run, she remembers those things and remember that, yo, Gerald talked to me about Jesus Christ before or whatever. And a lot of artists that I work with, I've literally had connections in other ways besides just the drums and being their drummer. You know, and it's been a blessing because, you know, I get to talk, and you know, I'm a jokester, so you know, they get to laugh and different things. So you know, that's the other side of not playing drums that just made everything even gel even more. And when these artists put out records and they put out new product and all of that stuff, I'm the first person they think about. You know, me, Kurt, and Valdez, we're the first person they think about, not only because we can play their music with such you know, play their music so well. Not just that, it's just being around us, you know, laughing and joking. And, you know, I want to be in Europe with these guys. You know what I mean? Like I want to be, you know, overseas with these guys because I like them. I like being around them. I like the jokes. I like their interaction that we have. I used to always, with Chris Brown, you know, in his younger years, we used to always go to the mall. And he put the baseball cap on and put it all the way down. And then, You know, when he see a group of girls or something, he just take it off, and then all of a sudden we in a frenzy at the mall. And this is stuff that he liked to do. And you know, because I'm a sneaker dude, he would always say, Gerald, where we going to get sneakers? When we going to get sneakers? And so those are all different type of connections that
Mm-hmm.
I had with these artists that was past the drums or past the gig or past the, you know, you're paying me to be here. It was way past that. And I can say that I'm blessed to be able to, for someone to be able to tap in on the type of person that I am. And that's what made us even closer. And that's what made me work for these people for such a long time.
Right, right. Well, you're a
You
great
know,
friend. You know, you're a
yeah,
great friend to people. You're a
yeah,
great, you know, confidant and um, a mentor, like I mentioned before. And
yeah,
so it's no surprise that you have these long-standing relationships and
yeah.
with literally everyone in the business. I mean, you know, we have great conversations and I appreciate you so much for that and your friendship as well.
No problem, no problem. You know, you're my favorite. You're my favorite. You're my favorite. I don't care what company's under your name. You're still my favorite. It don't matter. I don't care.
Thank
If
you.
selling toilet paper, it's whatever. Sarah, whatever I can do to help you. That's
Maybe
what I'm here for.
someday.
And it's so cool because you know, like, you know, our existence is, you know, I knew you before you was married. I knew you before you had kids. I knew, you know what I mean? Like our
Yes,
existence, it's just, you know, it's history that number one can't be erased. Number two, it shouldn't be disrespected. There's no way it should be disrespected. So I just look at it from a total different angle. And it's like, you know, me bringing Aaron to meet you, you know, that started a whole relationship, a different relationship. You know, I
yes.
always feel that all our relationships are customized. They all customized. You hear me say this a lot. You know, you when you were artist relations, you know, you customize every relationship with each person, with each artist. And
Hmm.
you may have 500 artists to deal with, but you dealt with each person in a different way. And that made it feel, from an artist standpoint, that made it feel awesome. That made it feel like, yo, this is the greatest. You know, not only, you know, not only did it put flags on the company, it made the company be great. It made you as a person be great to us as people. So it's like it's a whole thing, you know, and even, you know, Emily and everybody that I have contact with that was in that other companies, in that company's you know, on that company's roster, you know, it made us be, we had years of, you know, interaction. So the years mean something. And
Absolutely.
you know, so it's just so many ways to look at things. But you know, like I said, I've you know, conveyed to Aaron and Jamal, and you know, this is how you got to be. It's no other way to be. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
It takes too much energy to be a mean person, to be
Yes.
a stupid person, or to be, you know, a person that's just off the grid, basically.
Yes.
And it's less energy to just be nice. It's less energy to be nice.
It
And
is. It is less energy and it's less stress on
yeah,
yourself, I think, to not carry that around, you know? I once was told by someone, "Don't let those people rent space in your head." And I was like, "That is
right.
such great advice," right? Like,
That's
whenever
good.
there's someone that's bothering you, just let it
Yeah,
go, let it roll off your back. And
good.
the other thing too is when you're thinking about someone else that's wronged you in any way,
Uh,
um, that person most likely isn't even thinking about you.
right.
So you're wasting time, right? And you're wasting energy
And
letting
space.
that person rent space in your head. So that's always my theory. But you
That's
know,
good.
going back to what you
Yeah,
said, thank you so much. You know, I loved interacting with all of you, all of the artists and who are now just such great friends. And the relationships built over years and years and experiences together are just so amazing. And I'm very, very grateful. So thank you for those kind words. And yes, friends forever. And I so appreciate you taking time out to do this today and sharing with us. It means everything. So thank you for that.
I gotta come hug that little smart Jack, man.
Absolutely. Yeah, we'll have to get together really, really soon for sure.
You know, one thing, like I said, I've watched your life change just in my eyes. I watch your life change. I watch, you know, I remember coming up to the company and it's like, yo, Sarah's pregnant. Sarah having getting married. Seriously, you know, and it's funny because the same thing now, you know, I was talking to Emily and she's like, yeah, I'm getting married. And I was like, yeah, I heard you was getting married. So it's like, you know, just watching all of this life bring life, you know, I mean, you know, I've known Aaron before he got married and, you know, had a kid and all of that. So
yeah, we've essentially all kind of grown up together and grown together and watched each other, you know, watched each other's lives unfold. And I feel so grateful for that.
Yeah, I cried at his wedding. So.
Oh my goodness.
But don't say that because I keep denying it. It was him and Jessica's like, man, you was crying. No, I wasn't.
Yeah.
It was something falling from the ceiling. I don't know what that was, but I was not crying. I was just standing there being happy. I was not crying.
No, not at all. No.
Like,
and the relationship that you and Aaron have, I just love that so much. Just the, you know, the care for each other and also the pushing of each other and encouragement. And you told a story once about going back to Michael Jackson real quick about Aaron calling you and just saying like, he said something like, you played with Michael Jackson and then like hung up the phone on you.
Yeah, because he was mortified and he was like, yo, it's documented. And none of us are now going to be able to say that we've done that because he's gone.
Right.
And it's the same thing. Like just a couple of weeks ago, I called him and I was like, I had forgot about the Grammy thing with James Brown and Usher. Yeah. And I said, yo, man, you play for James Brown. I was like, yo, I met James Brown, but I didn't get to play for him. And I said, yo, you play for James Brown. And he was like, yeah, I did. And I was like, all right. And I hung up the phone. So kind of doing the same thing he did to me. But
I love it.
You know, Aaron is you know, he's my brother, man. And you know, Jamal, like I really look out for them too, because I just feel that, I don't know, like, you know, our connection is so deep, man. Our connection is really deep. And it became that way over time, but very fast. Very fast. You know, I always feel like Jamal, a lot of people don't know how good he is and how creative he is and things like that. You know, Aaron, I gave to the world. It's like, yo, check this out. You know, but Jamal, I always feel like every day I'm fighting for someone to realize how good he is and how of a, you know, a super drummer and a super person, and you know how to help his journey move along.
Yes. Well, let's talk about his new song that he just put out, which is so good. So anyone listening, check out Jamal Moore. His new song, Paradise, it's called, right?
Yeah, Paradise is amazing. And
it's really great.
Album before that, the Voyage, that album was amazing.
And I do want to ask you too, you know, what are your plans? I know a lot of things are up in the air, but I do know that you're recording some loops, right? And
some of that stuff, just, you know, just trying to, like I said, to stay relevant, to stay, you know, the culture is changing so much. You know, you got to have a certain amount of followers and all of that stuff. And I love the fact that that's happening, but I'm also scared of it. I'm scared to I'm scared to oversaturate,
Mm-hmm.
if that's a thing. But with that being said, like I am waiting for, Chris Brown probably will go back on tour maybe next year, or
Mm-hmm.
something like that. But I'm open to do anything, to try new things. I really want to, and I haven't told nobody this yet, but well, I may have told Jamal and Aaron, but I really want to try to get into the countryside of drum playing.
Mm-hmm.
And there is like there's a sort of pop gospel that I want to kind of stick my feet in and
Mm-hmm.
try to get going in those areas that I feel that are dormant for a drummer like me. Those areas that, I want to play for a country artist. I want to learn the country textures. I want to learn what sound is supposed to be for country, and
Mm-hmm.
rhythms and all of that stuff. So I've been kind of, boggling myself down with country stuff, listening to it, and
I like it. That's great.
learning that, and listen to a lot of. There's this station called K Love, and K Love is like it's a gospel station, but they play all of this like new age type gospel type music. So I'm trying
Mm-hmm.
that side of it, and yeah, those are the things that I'm trying to accomplish. I'm trying to accomplish that. I'm working on, trying to do different drums and different woods and different things to get a different sound, to get that
Mm-hmm.
country or that sound of, that big sound or whatever you want to call it. But that's where I'm at with it. And also in the process of doing a docu-series about, like I said, about me, Curran, and Valdez, and just showing the world what we did for the industry. And I think that yeah, we can, we're going to spend some time on doing that. So,
That's
I'm ready
great.
to use and all of that stuff. So
I was
it's
hoping you would mention that because
yeah,
we talked about it recently and it sounds really great. I cannot wait to check it out. So
yeah. So
so we'll look for that absolutely from you, and please keep on doing exactly what you're doing, and I love the fact that you're exploring outside of your comfort zone, even in
right,
drumming. So good. Well,
yes, I'm looking forward to that. I'm really hyped about it because just never been, because I have a vision, and my vision is, I tell my nephews all the time, like, yo, you guys need to go out and, try to do Broadway, and try to do, like, I feel that there's a couple of areas that drummers with baseball caps are not are not in. And
sure.
I don't want to say colored drummers, but I want to say, drummers with baseball caps are
Hmm.
not are not in those spaces. And I feel that we have the knowledge and the skill to acquire those spaces. So
Hmm.
I want to see, one of my nephews playing on Broadway, playing at Cats or something like that. So
Hmm.
I told them to see, check that lane out, see what that lane's about, see how you get
Hmm.
into that particular space. And,
Right.
and like, I'm trying to do the country thing, and I'm trying to do the, the gospel music, the other side of gospel music.
Hmm.
So like it's kind of like they call it Hillsong. So like the Hillsong type of
Hmm.
gospel and the worship type of music. So I'm trying to push my way over that way along with the country.
All right.
Whatever door opens quicker, that's the one I'm gonna choose, and then I'm gonna try to work that. So I tell my nephews, like, yo, man, yeah, there's spaces that, us as drummers are not occupying, and we need to. And y'all need to work on those spaces, because everybody wants to do exactly what I'm doing, or
Hmm.
do exactly what Aaron's doing or Jamal's doing.
Hmm.
It's like, yo, you all want to play R&B. It's cool. There's a lot of us over here. You know, that's what the feel is. It's all of us. But
Right.
what about these other spaces? What about all of these other parts of music that we are not acquiring or we are not in? So
Mhm.
we need to broaden our picture and make sure that we acquire those spaces and move towards those spaces
Mhm.
and have the skills to acquire those spaces.
Right. I
Yeah.
totally understand
Yeah.
that. And I love that you have a vision for the future, and I love that. So yeah, keep doing it. And thank you so much for your time tonight. Thanks for your friendship. I
No,
so appreciate it. And
no
and I
worries.
really look forward to have the chance to see you in person again soon.
Tell Jack I said hi.
I will. I will.
Squeeze his
Thank
cheek.
you, Gerald.
All right.
We will chat soon.
All right. No problem.
Okay. Take care.
Thank you for tuning in today. Join us each Tuesday for new episodes of Sarah Hagan Backstage.